What's up, guys? Basic Battles here today, and I'm here to talk about the lightweight problem or situation. I don't know really how to describe it. The problem is, we don't know who the next title challenger is, and we just had a big fight in the lightweight. Dustin Poirier's last ride, his retirement fight, where he lost a unanimous decision against Max Holloway in a very good fight, but one that Max pretty soundly won. He got hurt there a couple times, but it was a very, very good performance by him. Another outstanding lightweight outing for him. And he's looking for anybody to fight, but he could definitely, see himself fighting Ilia Topuria in a rematch soon enough. Me personally, I'd be excited, obviously. I was very excited for their last fight, but, a little less so nowadays because I do think Ilia would take that win. I just think the win is inevitable. Even if Max looks really, really good at lightweight, that power, that precision, it's just really inevitable. And I don't think, even with Max's, his updated power, him sitting down on his shots more, how fast he is for 155, I just think it's really hard to pick against Topuria right now. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about what his next matchup looks like, Mr. Max Holloway. And that's the thing. It can go so many different directions right now in the lightweight division. But I do think Ilia will get another fight by the end of the year. I don't think it'll be Max Holloway. I could see them just going straight to a rematch, Ilia might take that. Ilia might not be as interested in that because, he's already beaten Max less than a year ago. But it obviously is a much, much different fight this time around at lightweight, up a weight class. But honestly, I think the UFC is going to lead more towards Gaethje, or maybe even like a slim chance to go with Arman for his next fight because Arman was #1 contender. Did have a shot at the title in January, but obviously he ruined that for himself by pulling out. But yeah, it's really interesting. So as for Max Holloway, here are the options that he has. He could fight Charles Oliveira, a rematch from their featherweight fight that ended in injury years back. Obviously, Charles coming off a bad loss to Ilia in his last title shot. But if he is still interested in the belt, Charles has called for this fight. He does want this rematch with Max Holloway. And for the BMF belt, it makes complete sense. Both of these guys fit the bill. Obviously, Max Holloway just defended his BMF belt, and Charles 100% fits the bill. Most finishes in UFC history. I think he's #1 in performance bonuses, too. So, 100%, I could see this rematch happening. I'd be very excited for this. Personally, I think Charles loses this fight pretty badly. But if he wants to fight, he wants to fight. He still has crazy power. He still is definitely outclasses Max in the ground game. I just don't think he shoots enough takedowns, and I don't think he's fast enough to compete with Holloway on the feet. And after what Ilia just did to him, his chin, obviously, I don't think Max's power competes with Ilia's at all. But I do think he has enough to really hurt him. And his volume output is just insane that he could really hurt Charles very badly. I think he'd get the finish against Charles, but that's neither here nor there. I do think it would be an interesting fight to make. It could be another title shot for Charles if he wins, but I don't know. That's neither here nor there. It's just what's next for them. Next fight on the docket, Max versus Dan Hooker. That fits the bill of the BMF 100%. And like I said, I'm mentioning the BMF belt a lot. I do think that any Max Holloway fight that doesn't involve Ilia Topuria, even if they do, they might just put the belt on the line, make it both belts on the line in that fight if he fights Ilia next. But even still, I think any fight that Max Holloway is going to go next, I think they have to put the belt on the line. I think it's just like a free 5-round title fight. That's in quotations since you can't see me. But easy 5-round title fight you can put on a pay-per-view, even headline. Like if it's Charles, I have no doubt they would try to make a UFC headliner off of that, which isn't obviously bad, but I'm just saying. Dan Hooker, I don't think it would headline a pay-per-view, but it could be an amazing co-main to say like an MSG card. Like they want to do Islam versus what is it? They want to do Islam versus JDM on MSG. That could be a great co-main to be right underneath that. that fight would probably sell very well, honestly, even with the terrible market for pay-per-views right now. They could do something early next year, like January, February, because I don't think they have that settled down, obviously, yet. I think the rest of the year is probably pretty settled for the UFC. But yeah, Dan Hooker fits the bill. Again, I think Max Holloway would win this fight pretty soundly, but honestly, Dan Hooker, I think he should fight up. He's on a 3-fight win streak. I think it's 3 fights. I could be wrong on that. 3 fights win streaks. He just beat Gamrot when he was in the top 5. He got top 5 himself. I think he's like a little outside. I think he's like 6 or 7 now. But even still, I wouldn't mind him fighting Max Holloway next, or Armin, or Charles, anybody, honestly. But it fits the bill. It'd be an amazing... You could just sell it by these two, and literally give us nothing but bangers. But yeah, it could be interesting. That's the next fight. Another fight that kind of makes sense right now is Max Holloway versus Paddy Pimblett. Personally, I don't think that fits the bill of a BMF fight. So I don't think... Like, obviously, they would have to put the belt on the line. But honestly, Paddy really hasn't had too many performances like that personify that. It's hard to really say, but it is a number 1 contenders fight that I could see happening, because Paddy, based on the media and the UFC's reaction to him, he definitely is going to be in line for a number 1 contender shot next. I mean, he literally got into the cage against Ilya, so it's obviously someone in the UFC thinks that he should be, at least Joe Rogan does, if he went rogue and did that himself, but definitely someone that thinks he's going to be up there potentially fighting Ilya soon. Again, there's other cards in the deck for Max as well. I mean, he could just fight Armin in a title eliminator. He's not going to rematch Gaethje, I don't think. So, here's what I think is going to happen. I think it is going to be Max versus probably, like, those... It's really hard to pick between Dan Hooker or Charles, honestly. Those are the two I'm really thinking is next. It's either Hooker, Charles, or an Ilya rematch. And it's hard... We just got to see. I think the UFC's already decided Ilya's next opponent, honestly. I think it's going to be Gaethje. It's probably going to be in December or January. Armin's probably going to fight Hooker, or he's going to, I don't know, or he's going to have to wait and fight down. Maybe they're going to really try to book him against in the Gamrot rematch, which is, not a good fight. They should honestly, if they're going to give the title shot to anybody, I know Armin doesn't, he pulled out, he ruined his own title shot, and that sucks. He ruined that pay-per-view. It wasn't really ruined, but I mean, still, he ruined the lightweight division, badly. He messed it up really badly. Been pulling out literally a day before. A lot of this would be solved if he just fought Islam the day later, but he didn't. So it's hard to say what the UFC standing with him is. I just don't think they're really interested in giving him anything fruitful. So I don't know. I think Max, he's probably gonna fight. I don't know. Him and Charles are both calling for that fight. But I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it's going to be him versus Dan Hooker next. Charles, what is he going to do then? Maybe they do Max Charles too, and then Dan Hooker versus Armin. And then, what do they do next? I think that's probably it. I think Gaethje versus Ilya, obviously, even though... It's not the most interesting. That's probably the least interesting of all the title fights available at lightweight. But hey, what are you going to do? So yeah, that's my opinion on the matchmaking. That's what I think Max is going to do next. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Best is blessed, baby.